Have you ever noticed how someone's entire face changes when a dog walks into the room? Not slightly, completely. Their posture softens, their voice rises, their eyes light up in a way that feels almost childlike. It doesn't matter if they were stressed 5 minutes ago. It doesn't matter if they were exhausted. The moment they see that wagging tail, something in their nervous system resets. And if you're one of those people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because loving dogs isn't just about liking animals. It's psychological. It's emotional. It's sometimes even spiritual. And the real question is not, why do you love dogs? The real question is, what does loving dogs reveal about you? Let's start with something powerful. When a dog looks at you, something happens in your brain. Studies show that when humans and dogs make eye contact, both release oxytocin, the same bonding hormone released between mothers and infants. Think about that for a second. The same hormone responsible for deep attachment between parent and child activates when you and your dog lock eyes. That's not random affection. That's evolutionary bonding. Dogs have co-evolved with humans for over 15,000 years. They didn't just adapt to live near us. They adapted to read us. They read our facial expressions. They detect changes in tone. They respond to emotional shifts in our body language. And people who love dogs often unconsciously crave that kind of attuned connection. Because here's the truth. Dogs are emotionally honest. They don't play social games. They don't mask their affection. They don't calculate status. If they love you, they show it immediately. And in a world filled with filtered personalities, subtle manipulation, and constant performance, that kind of direct affection feels rare. People who love dogs often value authenticity. They feel safe around creatures that don't pretend. Now let's go deeper. There's something about dogs that regulates the nervous system. Petting a dog reduces cortisol. It lowers blood pressure. It stabilizes heart rate. The rhythmic motion of stroking fur activates parasympathetic responses, the body's rest and digest system. For people who are anxious, overstimulated, or emotionally overwhelmed, dogs become grounding anchors, not metaphorically. Imagine coming home after a long day. You've dealt with passive-aggressive emails, you've navigated social expectations, you've managed responsibilities. And then you open the door, and a creature runs toward you like you are the best thing that has ever happened in its entire existence. That experience does something to a human being. It affirms worth without evaluation. Dogs don't care about your income, your social status, your appearance, your productivity. They care about presence, and people who love dogs often feel relief in that, because humans evaluate constantly. Dogs don't. Now here's something fascinating. People who strongly bond with dogs often show high empathy levels. But it's not just empathy, it's emotional attunement. They are sensitive to subtle shifts in mood. They notice changes in breathing. They pick up on tension. Because dog communication is nonverbal. If you love dogs deeply, you've trained your brain to read cues without words. You understand posture. You understand tone shifts. You understand silence. And that skill transfers to human relationships. Dog lovers often become emotionally perceptive adults. But there's another layer. Many people who love dogs intensely experienced some form of emotional unpredictability earlier in life. Maybe not trauma in a dramatic sense, but inconsistency, criticism, rejection, instability. Dogs offer predictable affection. They don't withdraw love as punishment. They don't weaponize silence. They don't hold grudges. That consistency feels stabilizing to someone whose nervous system once had to brace for emotional shifts. A dog doesn't judge your mood. If you cry, they sit closer. If you're quiet, they wait. If you're angry, they don't escalate. That steady presence builds attachment security. In fact, psychologists have found that dogs can function as attachment figures. They become emotional safe bases. Which explains something interesting. People who love dogs often talk to them, not because they think the dog understands complex language, but because speaking to a non-judgmental listener feels safe. Now let's talk about personality. Research suggests that dog lovers often score higher in extroversion and agreeableness compared to cat lovers on average. But here's the nuance. It's not about sociability alone. It's about relational orientation. Dog lovers often enjoy shared activity, walks, play, adventure. There's movement, there's interaction, there's a sense of being part of a team. Dogs require engagement, and people who love them often thrive in relational dynamics where connection is active, not passive. Now imagine something else. A dog depends on you completely: feeding, protection, care, routine. That responsibility creates meaning. Humans are wired to care. We evolved in tribes where survival depended on caregiving roles. When someone loves dogs deeply, they often derive identity from being needed, not in a codependent way, but in a purposeful way. Taking care of another living being activates reward circuits. It creates structure. It creates routine. For some people, especially those struggling with depression or existential drift, a dog becomes an anchor to life itself. You get up because they need you. You walk because they need exercise. You go outside because they want to explore. In that way, loving dogs is not just affection, it's meaning. Now, let's explore something deeper. There's something psychologically revealing about choosing a dog as your primary emotional companion. Dogs offer unconditional positive regard, and humans crave that. Carl Rogers, a humanistic psychologist, believed unconditional positive regard was essential for healthy self-concept. Dogs provide it naturally. They don't withdraw love when you fail. They don't critique your ambitions. They don't compare you to others. And in a competitive, performance-driven world, that feels revolutionary. People who love dogs often long for environments where love is not contingent on achievement. But here's something equally important. Dog lovers are not naive. They know dogs misbehave. They know training takes effort. They know frustration exists. But they commit anyway. That commitment says something about loyalty. Dog lovers often value loyalty highly. They respect bonds that require maintenance. They understand that relationships involve responsibility. Now let's talk about grief. If you've ever lost a dog, you know the pain can be devastating. Some people don't understand it. They minimize it. It was just a dog. It was routine. It was silent companionship. It was daily affection. It was structure. It was nonverbal intimacy. Losing that disrupts the nervous system. Grieving a dog is grieving safety. And people who love dogs deeply often love deeply in general. They attach strongly. They bond fully. And they feel loss intensely. Now let's explore something interesting. Dog lovers often form community through dogs, dog parks, training classes, neighborhood walks. Dogs become social bridges. They create low-pressure interactions. They soften strangers. And people who love dogs often feel more comfortable connecting through shared affection for an animal. It removes social armor. Now imagine this: two strangers at a park. Their dogs start playing. They smile at each other. Conversation begins naturally. There's no forced small talk. The dog becomes emotional lubricant. And that says something about people who love them. They often appreciate organic connection. Dogs live in the present. They don't ruminate about yesterday. They don't catastrophize tomorrow. They chase a ball like it's the most important mission in the universe. People who love dogs often crave that presence. They feel refreshed by creatures that don't overthink, because humans overthink constantly. A dog's joy is immediate, unfiltered, contagious, and watching that can rewire perspective. People who love dogs often anthropomorphize them. They assign personalities, narratives, inner dialogue. And while some dismiss that as projection, it reflects imagination and relational thinking. It shows the human mind's capacity to form emotional narratives even in cross-species bonds. Now let's get personal. If you love dogs, think about this. Do you feel calmer around them than around most people? Do you feel seen without being evaluated? Do you feel needed without being exploited? Do you feel affection without complexity? If yes, that reveals something about your psychological needs. You value authenticity. You value loyalty. You value emotional presence. And maybe, just maybe, You long for those qualities more consistently in human relationships too. Here's the emotional climax. Imagine your dog waiting by the door when you come home, tail wagging, eyes bright. They don't know if you succeeded today. They don't know if you failed. They don't care. They just know you're back. That moment says something profound. To them, you are enough. Not improved, not optimized, not curated. Enough. In a world constantly telling you to upgrade yourself, that unconditional acceptance is radical. And maybe that's why loving dogs feels so deep. It's not about ownership. It's about mutual regulation, mutual loyalty, mutual presence. If this resonates with you, comment below. When did you realize your dog was more than a pet? What moment made you understand that bond? And if you want more deep psychological explorations like this, where we examine everyday love through neuroscience and emotional theory, subscribe. Because behind every strong affection is a story about what the human heart needs most. And sometimes, the clearest mirror of that heart has 4 legs and a wagging tail.